Welcome to the third video in a series where we dive into the features of Pulumi ESC. Today we're going to talk to Arun about dynamic logins and dynamic secrets and how you can use ESC as a secret broker to multiple clouds. Arun, let's start with dynamic login. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So dynamic login is a feature within Pulumi ESC that allows you to generate short-term cloud provider credentials. And this is useful, especially when you're running your development workflows or short-term CI/CD jobs. In those cases, what you don't want to do is store long-lived credentials in your CI/CD pipelines, and then you have to worry about rotation, securing them, and all sort of problems that arise from that. So with ESC dynamic login providers, you can generate the short-term credentials that's valid anywhere from 1 hour to a few hours and use them only when you need it. So let me give you a rundown of how to configure that environment, and let's see how we can use it in our workflows. So here I have in my screen a sample environment where I've used the AWS login OIDC provider to be able to get the short-term credentials for my AWS account. In this case, I'm setting the duration of the token to be about 1 hour. And prior to the session, I went ahead into my AWS account and set up IAM role. And in this particular environment, I'm going to assume that role and get credentials that's going to give me the privileges of that particular role. And from once I also have retrieved the AWS credentials, I'm also setting in a temporary environment, setting them as environment variables. I'll explain what that means later. So let's go and open this environment. As you can see here, I was able to successfully retrieve my AWS access key ID, access key, and session token. And this token is valid only for 1 hour. And every time I close and reopen the environment, I am given a fresh pair of credentials. Let's see how this works in practice. So here I have my C shell. I don't have my AWS credentials locally stored. Let me show that to you. All right, so I don't have any credentials stored. Let's go and use this environment that I've configured to be able to run the same command without having to store the AWS credentials. There you go. I was able to open this environment, pass on the temporary credentials that this environment provides, and inject into a temporary session, run this command, and retrieve the S3 buckets that's stored in my personal AWS account. This credentials is not stored anywhere, and it just vanishes after this command is run. So every time I run this, it will still work, a fresh pair of credentials, and I don't have to worry about rotation or storing them long term.
So what if I want to run against a different environment with different credentials?
Absolutely. So here I have another environment configured. This is looking at our developer sandbox account. I've similarly set up the same level of permissions here to be able to run this command as well. So let's go ahead and run the same command for this profile, if I can call it. There you go. So we have so many S3 buckets. Clearly, there's more people using this account. I was able to retrieve all the S3 buckets that exist in the developer sandbox account.
That seems so much easier than managing creds via an AWS profile. It seems more secure. I'm not accidentally using creds because they're kind of ambient in the environment. I have to kind of explicitly choose that I want to use a particular environment. So let's move on to dynamic secrets. How does that differ from dynamic login?
Yeah, totally. While dynamic login is about getting short-term cloud provider credentials, dynamic secrets is being able to pull in secrets and plain text value that is stored in other platforms such as HashiCorp Vault, 1Password, GCP Secrets Manager, AWS Parameter Store, Secrets Manager, and Azure Key Vault. So all of these platforms, you have your keys, plain text values, your configuration stored there, and ESC's dynamic secrets provider allow you to pull them during runtime or during open time, if I can call it, and be able to use it in your applications, your development workflows, and so on and so forth. So here is an example environment where I'm using the Vault login dynamic secrets provider to pull in a secret that I've stored in my Vault cluster. And this is the namespace I'm using, and this is the address of my Vault cluster. and I'm pulling a secret stored in this particular path. It's under data, and it's called app1. So I'm going to go into my Vault cluster here. You can see that I have stored a secret in this particular path. The secret key is DB secret, and the value is this is the top secret. So let's go ahead and run this. There you go. You can see that I was able to pull in the secret that I've stored in my Vault cluster into my ESC environment, and I also get the associated metadata for this secret from Vault as well. And here's a different environment where I'm using the GCP secrets provider to pull in secrets that are stored in my GCP Secrets Manager. So the two secrets are my first secret and then my secret. I'm using a similar GCP OIDC login provider to give ESC the credentials to be able to access my GCP account and pull in the necessary secrets that I've configured here. So let me go ahead and open this. You can see that the two secrets that I have is my super secret data, and this is a secret, or the two secrets that I've stored temporarily there.
So that's interesting, but why use ESC as a middleman? Why not configure my code to pull from GCP or HashiCorp Vault directly?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, there are various reasons why you would want to do that. Now, many organizations use multiple tools. They could be using AWS Secrets Manager, they could be using GCP Secrets Manager, and this would be very common scenario. If a company went and acquired another company, they might be using different platforms. But end of the day, you want to be able to give a consistent experience for your developers and being able to pull them from multiple places, being able to compose them and use it in a consistent way. And ESC provides you that consistent API to be able to go do that. Another example is, your central security team might mandate you to use and store all your secrets in a centralized location. That could be HashiCorp Vault, but you like the flexibility of ESC and the composability of it. And you might still want to store it in Vault and pull that into ESC for using in your applications and workflows. So in this way, ESC can act like a secrets broker and is flexible to adapt to your own scenarios.
That consistent API really allows for flexible in a number of scenarios. Another scenario I've seen is when a team is migrating from one cloud to another cloud or one secrets platform to another secrets platform, and they use ESC to kind of abstract where the location of that secret was and allow them to kind of seamlessly migrate without downstream consumers noticing. It also acts as a centralized inventory, so you can kind of see, even though your secrets might be spread out across several platforms, ESC gives you that kind of central view of where things are at. How can I consume these secrets that ESC is managing? How would I use this from my CI/CD process?
Yeah, absolutely. I have an example GitHub Action workflow here where I am building a Docker image and using the credentials for my Docker Hub stored in ESC and pulling them into GitHub Action and using that to push the Docker image into my Docker Hub. So let me quickly walk you through the workflow here. The workflow, the first step is being able to get Pulumi Cloud credentials. Here I'm using the Pulumi auth action, where via OIDC, I'm getting a short-term token to be able to access Pulumi Cloud. Then I'm using that token to pull in my Docker username and token stored in this particular environment. Here I'm going to quickly showcase that I have a platform and Docker environment where I have my username and my token as well. So once I'm able to pull these credentials, I'm setting that as environment variables and logging into Docker Hub. Then I'm building my Docker image and then finally pushing it to my Docker Hub as well. Let's go ahead and run this workflow. Let's wait for it to complete. All right, my GitHub Action workflow was successfully completed. There you go. I was able to successfully push the image that I built in GitHub Action into my Docker Hub.
That is very cool. Now I can use these secrets from ESC while enabling dynamic credentials or access to other secrets in multiple clouds or multiple secrets managers while maintaining a centralized inventory and management. I also like that we didn't introduce another secret just to go from your CI/CD platform to Pulumi ESC, and we avoided the secret zero problem. What are other ways I can consume ESC config and secrets?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have multiple ways to go consume ESC. We have our ESC SDK, we have REST API, our CLI, we have Kubernetes external secrets operator, a CSI provider. And if you go through our documentation page, you will also see how you can consume ESC in your dev env, HashiCorp Terraform, and various other platforms as well.
Well, cool. Thank you for that summary. This concludes our latest episode talking about Pulumi ESC. Stay tuned for the next one.